Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham, no matter, will make more than a max contract in endorsements if they stay with the Fever. But Lexie Hull has been spotted back. This is a tweet from Birdology, and this is from obviously Lexie Hull's Instagram. Has Lexie Hull posted anything else on her Instagram?
Lexie Hull just showed up at the Indiana Fever facility, and the internet is losing its mind. But here's what nobody's talking about. This isn't just a casual workout. This is a billion-dollar chess move that could determine whether the Fever become a dynasty or collapse into irrelevance. Let me be crystal clear, we're not hoping Lexie Hull returns to Indiana, we're operating under the assumption she's coming back. And if you think that's arrogant, you haven't been paying attention to the money, because here's the uncomfortable truth. The WNBA doesn't want you thinking about how Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham will make more money in endorsements staying with Caitlin Clark and the Fever than they would ever see from a max contract somewhere else. We're talking generational wealth versus a slightly bigger paycheck. And before anyone starts crying in the comments about loyalty and team culture, let's get real, this is professional sports. These women have maybe 10 years to secure their financial futures. You think they're choosing a small market rebuild over the Caitlin Clark empire? Please, Birdology caught Lexie on Instagram at the Fever training facility. She's there with Keith Porter and Rob Dozier, the team trainers. Rob's making trick shots, Lexie's grinding, and everyone's acting like this is just another off-season workout. It's not. This is Lexie Hull planting her flag. This is her telling every other franchise in the league, I'm staying where the money is. I'm staying where the spotlight is. I'm staying where championships happen. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Keith Porter is still in a walking boot 3 months after tearing his Achilles. 3 months. Now, I don't want to alarm anybody, but that's concerning. That's really concerning, because an Achilles tear is no joke. We're talking 9 to 12 months for full recovery, and if you're still in a boot at month 3, something's not adding up. I tore my Achilles in college, graduated in the boot, had a pulmonary embolism that set back my recovery. So trust me when I say, seeing Keith still in that boot raises questions. Questions about the Fever's medical staff. Questions about whether they're rushing players back too soon. But let's pivot back to Lexie, because this is where it gets spicy. The fact that she's back in Indiana working out with the organization drastically increases the chances she's staying. And that's not speculation, that's just how this works. Players who spend the offseason embedded with the franchise don't leave in free agency. You know who we're not seeing everywhere? Bree Turner. And before Turner fans come for me, I actually think there's a decent chance she returns. But we're not getting daily Instagram stories of Bree at the facility. We're not seeing her grinding with the trainers. That tells you everything you need to know about who the Fever prioritize. Bree averaged 10.4 points per game in Australia playing for Perth, which isn't terrible, but also isn't exactly lighting the world on fire. And yes, she's a defensive player first. But in today's WNBA, you need two-way impact to justify a roster spot. Lexie Hull brings something you cannot replicate. You cannot coach hustle. You cannot teach the kind of reckless abandon she plays with, throwing her body on the line for charges, getting her hands on loose balls, making winning plays that don't show up in the stat sheet. Now, does that mean she has to start? That's where it gets complicated. If you ask me straight up who's better, Lexie Hull or Sophie Cunningham, Sophie's better. That's not a hot take, that's just facts. Sophie's a more complete player, better shooter, more disciplined defender, but here's where Lexie separates herself. As a stopper, she's elite at one very specific thing, drawing charges. Can she guard Ryan Howard or Kalia Copper one-on-one? Absolutely not. Those players will cook her with speed. They'll blow by her. They'll make her look silly. That's why Kelsey Mitchell has to take those defensive assignments. But guards who like to work off screens, guards who use contact and physicality? Lexie Hull eats them alive. She'll draw 2 offensive fouls in a game and completely take you out of your rhythm. She'll frustrate you. She'll get in your head, and by the 4th quarter, you're thinking about her instead of your game. That's irreplaceable. Remember that play against Atlanta in the playoffs? Lexie Hull made the game-winning defensive stop. That's the kind of impact that doesn't show up on the stat sheet until it's the difference between winning and losing. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know how important a defensive playmaker like Lexie is to winning a championship. Nobody really knows because the WNBA doesn't have enough championship data points to say definitively. But here's what I do know. If you believe that style of defense matters, you're not finding anyone better than Lexie Hull. Sophie Cunningham is the opposite type of defender. She's a container, she's disciplined, she doesn't gamble, she makes you work for every inch. But she doesn't have the quickness to lock down elite guards either. Different players, different skill sets, both valuable. I don't mind a rotation where both of them start at the 3 depending on matchups, I really don't. The big thing for the Fever isn't picking between Lexie and Sophie. The big thing is retaining the core 5, Sophie, Lexie, Caitlin, Aaliyah, Kelsey. Those 5 players are the foundation of a dynasty. Lose any one of them and the entire structure crumbles. And keep KK Hammond for potential reasons. She probably won't play much next year, but you keep her around because potential matters in this league. Once you lock down those 6 players, then you go shopping. Then you spend whatever it takes to get an elite power forward, someone who can bang in the post, someone who can guard Brianna Stewart and Aya Wilson. Get that piece and the Fever are legitimate championship contenders. Without it, they're one Natasha Howard away from playoff disappointment. Because let's be real, Natasha got absolutely destroyed by Alyssa Thomas in the playoffs. Not close. Not competitive. Dominated. The Fever are one upgrade at power forward away from being favorites to win the whole thing next year. One piece, that's it. And the reason they could be favorites isn't just talent, it's continuity. It's chemistry. It's 5 players who've been through playoff battles together and know how to win. So yeah, seeing Lexie Hull back at the Fever facility isn't just good news, it's essential news. It's the difference between building a dynasty and wasting Caitlin Clark's prime. Because here's the harsh reality nobody wants to say out loud, Caitlin Clark is on a timeline. She's got maybe 5 years before the league catches up to her, 5 years before age and injuries start creeping in, 5 years to build a championship core around her. The Fever cannot afford to waste a single season figuring things out. They need to strike now. They need to lock down Lexie Hull now. They need to sign that power forward now, cause in 3 years, when Caitlin's entering her prime and the window is wide open, it'll be too late to start building. This is the moment. This is the offseason that determines the next decade of Indiana Fever basketball. And Lexie Hull being back in Indianapolis working out with the team? That's the first domino falling in the right direction. Now, does this guarantee she's staying? Of course not. Players change their minds. Offers come in. Agents get involved. Nothing's done until the ink is dry. But if I'm a Fever fan, I'm sleeping better tonight knowing Lexie's in the building. I'm sleeping better knowing she's choosing to be around the organization instead of exploring options elsewhere, because in professional sports, presence matters. Proximity matters. The relationships you build in the offseason determine where you sign in free agency. And Lexie Hull is building those relationships in Indiana. So let me ask you this, do you think Lexie Hull is staying with the Fever, or is this just a smokescreen before she signs somewhere else? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear what you think. And if you believe the Fever are about to become a dynasty, hit that subscribe button, because we're covering every single move this offseason. The WNBA is about to get very interesting. And it all starts with Lexie Hull making the decision that could change everything.